Thank you. Yes, good evening. My name is Dan, and I want to change the way that we use consumer goods. But before I talk about my company, I want to talk about what inspired me to do this. Because a few years ago, my life changed dramatically. My house burned down, my job ended, my girlfriend broke up with me, and suddenly I was left with nothing. In the days that followed, I had to learn a new skill. I had to learn how to ask for help. I had to sleep on my friends' couches. I had to borrow my neighbor's stuff. I didn't have anything anymore. And at first, I really didn't like it because I always wanted to be independent. I wanted to own everything myself. But I had to open up. I had to ask for help. And what I discovered is that actually people love to help. If you ask them a question, they love to have a reason to be meaningful and be helpful in someone else's life. And I also discovered that it really strengthened the relationship between me and my friends and my neighbors. So when I was kind of rebuilding my home and my stuff, I started to think about this. It changed the way I looked at what was important in life. I no longer attached much value to stuff. I wanted to kind of base my new life on connecting to people. And when I look at a neighborhood like this is let's say these are 100 houses, and you try to imagine what happens if you connect all these houses instead of isolating them like they are today with brick walls. And you imagine that you could walk through all these houses, then you could probably see hundreds of identical households, hundreds of barbecues, hundreds of bikes, hundreds of lawnmowers, hundreds of pressure cleaners, barbecues, tents, air beds, etc. And I asked myself, does a neighborhood like this really need 100 lawnmowers, or could 10 be enough? And that's what inspired me to start my company. So Peerby is a website and app that enables people to borrow the things they need from others in their neighborhood in 30 minutes. And the way that works is if you need something, you open up the app, or you go to the website, you type in what you need. So let's say you want to put up a painting, but you don't own a power drill. Then you type power drill. You give us a few sentences on why you need it, and we then send out notifications to your neighbors. They can respond with a single click, and when you see an offer you like, you open a chat, you talk a little, and you go and pick it up. And in this way, we already have many people connecting. It started in Amsterdam, then all of the Netherlands, then Netherlands and Belgium, and we're now in 20 cities in Europe and 10 cities in the US. And these are some of our actual members offering and exchanging stuff. But this is not just influencing neighborhoods and the way people interact. This is actually also influencing supply chains, because from where the resources are mined to the transportation, to the fabrication, the usage and the disposal of products, there's all kinds of waste. There's resources that are being used in a very inefficient way. So by actually sharing items, we're able to reduce, for example, greenhouse emissions. 1/8 of all CO2 emissions comes from the production and consumption of goods. So we're now in 30 cities, and we have over $500 million of products available on the platform. And Time magazine put us in this overview of the sharing universe, and we are still very small. We're right here on the bottom. We're a tiny icon compared to Uber and Lyft. So we still have a long way ahead of us, because I believe that what we're doing right now is only the first step in changing the way we consume. And so the way we try to discover what the next step is by doing a lot of experiments, doing a lot of research ourselves. We use lean startup methodology. We try to build many experiments and see how our members respond to that. And we try to think about what's going on. We try to analyze the past to understand the future. And what I believe that we're seeing right now is that we are in the midst of a new revolution. Basically, the Industrial Revolution that happened, well, only 200 years ago is what created the world that we live in today. Many of the concepts that we understand today come from this Industrial Revolution. So the main thing that happened is that a lot of things became centralized. We created central factories. We put a lot of workers in there. We put a lot of assets in there. Mass media came into existence. Jobs and employment is something that was basically created during the Industrial Revolution. And I believe what we're seeing right now is a radical change in all that. We're going from a centralized world to a decentralized or even distributed world, where products are no longer created centrally, but distributed. They're 3D printed in people's homes. There's no longer a pyramid of authority, but there's a crowd that has the power to influence and decide. And our channels that we communicate through are no longer mass channels, but everybody can talk to everybody. And so when I think about how that will change consumer goods, I like to look at the examples that are already here. And one of the examples is content. So it started with music. A few years ago, there was Napster, a free peer-to-peer service that enabled people to exchange music. And it was illegal, but it was challenging the status quo. It was challenging the music industry and the movie industry. And from these free peer-to-peer services came new business models like Netflix and like iTunes. The same thing, like Jeremiah already told us, is now happening in real estate. It took Airbnb 4 years to reach the same kind of capacity that Hilton took almost 100 years to build. And it's now also happening to currency. It's even happening to central authority. Blockchain technology is starting to distribute the way we pay and the way we trust. So what will happen to consumer goods? I believe that 80% of the products that we own today, 80% because 80% of the stuff we own is used no more than once a month, 80% of that could be shared through if we did it through this new technology. And I think what's interesting is that at first this sounds like a way that this sounds like very disruptive for manufacturers. But actually, if you look at some examples like a washing machine, sharing washing machines is quite common in some countries. It turns out that actually the manufacturers make a higher margin on these products, and the consumers pay a lower price. So there's a win-win situation there. And I believe that we can not just do this with washing machines. We can do this with many, many, many products. So that's our mission: to create an on-demand infrastructure for these products by connecting them to the internet, by using the newest technology in logistics, by providing instant access through apps, and in that way, we can create a more sustainable way of consuming, a way that, in the end, will create sustainable happiness. And that's our goal. Thank you.